Hey y'all, my name is Journey. Welcome to my channel, You Be You with Journey. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about happiness. So what is happiness and why am I talking about it? Well, obviously, I think you guys know what it is. Happiness is a feeling of or emotion of joy. But again, like I told you all, I started this channel because, I went on this hunt to find a balance with my life emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, and everything that we do every day is based off of an emotion, right? We have the job, we have the career that we have because, it's something that we liked. We partner with people because we like the way that we feel with them. Everything that we do is emotion based, right? We react out of emotions, and it's important, right? Like for me, I want to wake up every day feeling happy. Yes, I'm one of those people that are like pretty much happy all the time. Like the only time you won't be able to tell that with me is like if I'm in a room with people that like aren't happy and like the energy's off. I still haven't like mastered everything that I'm teaching or that I'm trying to talk about. But I mean, it's a work in progress, right? Like I'm only 24. Like I have a lot of time. I'm not trying to be like a guru straight out the bat. But again, this is all important stuff, right? Like our mind is like a monkey. So it's important that we can distinguish all the emotions, all of the thoughts that are going through our head. If not, our thoughts are a mayhem and so is our life. So that's pretty much what happened for me. I got married when I was very young, when I was 21, and it just wasn't a good idea, right? I know for me, like I came from a past of trauma, and I know for a lot of people that's difficult to understand why you have to be more cognizant of your behavior. It's because when you're surrounded by a certain type of behavior, you can start to rationalize a lot of things as being okay, right? If you grew up around a lot of drugs, it's usually, we can pick up on that like right away, like, oh, I'm not supposed to do drugs because it'll make me do a lot of crazy things. But it's the little things that we don't pick up on, right? It's like growing up watching how your mother treats your father. That right there, I'm telling you right now, has a big impact on how you are going to treat your future relationship. And for me, definitely did. And, obviously a relationship is two people, right? So if you got two people that come back from trauma, both of y'all have it in for it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that at all. Everything and anything is possible, but it just requires a little more work. So for me, I was in a marriage and I was on autopilot. I got a job because there was a lot of money involved, and go to work Monday through Friday. Work out in the morning, get off around 5, cook dinner, repeat, Monday through Friday, and then the weekends, may or may not hang out with my friends or my husband's friends. There'd be drinking involved. Like, it was just like, everything was the same thing, like every week. And, I was kind of codependent. Like, I relied on, making sure that other people were content before me. Or another aspect of codependency is like just doing a lot of things that will hurt you long term, but you can rationalize it because you figure it's gonna get better, right? Like for me, I'm gonna tell y'all, right? Like I'm gonna jump out the bat right now and say that I like my men like an MRE. Meal ready to eat, right? Like I can't do it again. We'll never do it again. But the thing with relationships is if you are betting on someone changing, you don't know how much time that's going to take. They can change. Don't get me wrong. People can change. But it usually takes like an epiphany, takes like a lot of mentorship. It takes a lot. And, if you're entering a relationship thinking someone's going to change, whoo, you got it in for yourself, honey. Or dude, if you got a girl like that, like that's what happened for me. Like, I just like assumed, oh, I'll make it better. And no, it's not even like better. I just wanted to change certain things. It's like, it's never a good idea to go into anything thinking that you can change something if it's completely dependent on the other person. Can't depend on other people for anything. Like, I'm not saying that you know, you shouldn't ask for help, but I'm saying you shouldn't rely completely on them, because people will let you down, and you have to be okay with that, right? So fast forward. So, you know, I met my mentor now because I am divorced, and it taught me a lot of things, right? The different types of happiness, because right now, if you're just searching for happiness, you might just be reaching for anything that feels good, right? But there's two different types. There's two. You have our short term and we have our long term. For me, I like to distinguish it as your ego and your soul. Again, these are just my opinions, these are just my philosophy, but this is how I distinguish between the thoughts that I know are not going to do very good for me and the thoughts that are going to progress me towards all my goals and everything I want to achieve in life. And so your ego is what I call instant gratification, right? We live in a world where we want everything instant. We want our food instant. We want to get in our car. We don't want any traffic. We want, what else? Social media, right? Like, we want to be able to see everything all the time. We want to be able to date instantly. Like, I'm going to find my soulmate on this app, like, this week. Like, some things are just, you know, we can't control. We can't. And when you try and control it, it's going to go in a direction where maybe it's not meant to be there. Maybe you're supposed to be over here, not over here. So it's important, right, that we're constantly aware, right? I'm going to talk about awareness a lot, but our ego can definitely steer us in all the wrong places. So another thing I want to talk about is destination happiness. So destination happiness is when we tell ourselves like, oh, if I get this high-paying job, I'll be happy. Or, oh, if I get that house, then it'll make my wife happy. If I buy my kids this, it'll make them happy. It's thinking that in the future, I'll be happy. That if I get something in the future, I'll be happy. But the problem with destination happiness is that if you can't find happiness where you are right now, I don't care if you have $1 to your name or $1 million. If you aren't happy right now, you won't be when you get the $1 million, because all the issues you have now are going to be there when you have the $1 million, right? So it's important that we know who we are and what we struggle with, and that we're constantly working at it, right? Everything about our life is supposed to be development, right? The thing that I noticed, even for me, is like after we hit about 16, 18 years old, we stop growing. Like, we have our behavior set, we have our way of viewing life set, and we just don't grow. It's like we're these children in adult bodies. And if anyone tries to challenge how we think or how we feel like we're being attacked, and like it just goes in one ear and out the other. So that's what happened to me. Like, I was very stubborn. People would, you know, tell me that like a million different things I could be doing differently or that could help me. And I was just like, no, I'm okay. This is how I am, and I'm not going to change. But I didn't realize the damage that I was doing, right? So destination happiness can be toxic. It is. It's important to be happy with what you have now. So I'm going to also go over a couple other things that can cause issues. Materialistic things, right? Like, we believe that, oh, if we buy that new car, if we have that new clothes or that more makeup, or always wanting something. But then when we get it, it's like this, oh, okay, I have it. Okay, well, what can I get next? It's like, it starts this like snowball effect where we were just constantly wanting more and more and more and more. The same thing with, like money, right? Money is amazing, right? Money is awesome. But you know what money does? Money doesn't buy happiness. Money buys you more time, right? Time is something that is irreplaceable and you will never be able to buy more of. And the person that can do that, I promise you, is going to be the most valuable person in the world. But right now, I don't know anybody that can offer you more time. So it's important that we find gratitude with what we have right now in this moment. For me, like, there was a time where I didn't have any money, but I could tell you right now, like, that was the happiest time of my life. And I think back, and the thing is with having more things, with more materialistic things, more money, is that it's just more things to worry about, right? If you have an expensive car, that means you gotta buy the insurance, right? And you gotta constantly be worrying about, it could get broken into, it could get vandalized. If you have a big, nice house, someone could, you got higher taxes, you have, more maintenance, you gotta clean it more often. I just always wanting things that are outside of you versus from within. It's just always going to fail you. I promise you. I don't care what it is. If you're looking for physical things to give you happiness, it's not going to last very long. It's going to be very short term. Another thing is sex. Like when you get to adulthood, right? I'm a firm believer, and I am going to talk about this in another video, but who you choose to be not only your partner, but any relationship you enter into your life is the biggest. It's going to be the biggest distraction that you'll ever face with, right? It can be a good distraction, or it can be not a good distraction, right? Like, the whole concept of sex is to create, right? But if it's not with someone that you love or that you don't care about, you get into this state where you wonder, like, why do I feel so empty? Like, why don't, it's, again, instant gratification, and it's just gone. As quick as it comes, is as quick as it goes, right? Again, that's something that your ego will tell you that it wants, because it's instant. It's instant happiness, instant pleasure. And then other things are going to be like appearances, seeking attention, right? I know, like, for me, for the longest time, and I'm going to do a whole video on appearances, but we base a lot of our perception of ourselves and the way that other people perceive it just based off of our appearance, right? We spend a lot of time focusing on the way that we look every day. And I mean, the way that I think about like our bodies in general is just like, it's like a suit, right? Everybody gets a different suit. Some, function a little better than others. Some look nicer, but we all get a suit. We get this suit to go about and experience the world in. We weren't meant to, focus so much on how we look. And, like, appearances can get us into a lot of trouble, right? Like, you find someone that, oh man, they look good. Like, damn, he's fine. But then you get to know him and you realize that there's a lot of things going on. He's got a lot of baggage. And then we start to compromise. Like, oh, it's okay. I mean, he's fine, so it's okay. Like, we'll get through it with time. And the thing you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to give that time? Do you really think that they're gonna change, or do you think that, I don't know. I'm getting way off topic again. I do that a lot. But the ego is definitely, the ego can get you into a lot of trouble, okay? So another thing that your ego will do is basing your happiness off of someone else, right? Like, the biggest way you'll find this is like when you get into a relationship, right? When you get into a relationship, like for me specifically, it's like your whole world revolves around them. You no longer are yourself. You're, a pair all the time. We have to do everything together. We have to agree on everything. That's not the case. Like, other people are here to help get us to where we need to be, right? But if we expect other people to make us happy, people are gonna let us down again. We're not meant to, you know, experience life through other people. Like, we are our own entity. We all have our own purpose, and yeah, like, yeah. I'm gonna leave it there. But going back to, okay, another thing that our ego will kind of deter us with is attaching ourselves to situations or people or things that don't serve us, right? So let's say, like, right now, I know it's COVID, and, you know, a lot of people probably lost their jobs. Our mind, if we're not, you know, controlling it, we'll want to focus on a bunch of things that we can control. Like, sometimes you aren't going to be in control, and that's okay. We have to be okay with that. Like, there's a saying, and it says that man plans, God laughs. And, like, for me, I have to remind myself that sometimes, because even like, let's say I am constantly positive, I'm manifesting everything that I want. I can't control the timing of when things are gonna happen, right? So the best thing to do is to be grateful and, you know, just simply allow things to play out how they are. Not attaching ourselves to the outcomes or, you know, the possibilities of what we could have in the future, but taking everything that we have for what it is, right? Like, when you first meet someone, don't think about, for me, this is what I'm training myself to do, is I don't think about the potential that I can have with someone. I think more of, like, who are they right now in this moment? Like, are they kind? Are they selfless? Are they happy? Even, like, you know, and is it real happiness? Is it not based off of, you know, because they have a lot of money or the types of clothes that they have, but they're just a genuinely happy person, that they love their family, that they're caring, and they know how to reciprocate things, you know? Like, if I give out affection, can they give that back to me? If I am consistent with reaching out to them, are they doing that back to me, right? Reciprocity. It's all important. And I think, you know, we get ourselves sometimes into bad relationships, or maybe we're in a career that we don't want, or maybe we just have a group of friends that don't serve us a purpose, right? Every day I think to myself, you know, how am I doing? Like, a quick assessment. Like, if I'm bored, like, I shouldn't be bored. There's so many things that I can be doing. Like, I could be researching the stock market. I could be learning how to hip hop dance, or learn a new recipe to cook. There are so many things that I can be doing that the concept of loneliness is just non-existent for me anymore. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, but it's difficult, right? If you've gone your whole life in a relationship like I have, like, constantly bouncing from one relationship to another, it's just inevitable that we create this codependency. And, like, as soon as we're no longer in that relationship anymore, we just feel empty. We feel like anxiety, like, oh, I should be doing something, or I should be with somebody right now. It's like we don't know how to feel happy and comfortable with our own skin, right? It took me like a year and a half to just be happy at home, like, all the time, just chilling by myself. But that takes time. But it's something that I had to want. I had to want to feel happy on my own. Like, I'm not saying that I don't get bored. I get bored all the time. But again, like, just knowing that there's so much more for me to do and that I could be working on, like, It's kind of more like a kick in the butt. Like, oh, you're bored? Did you work on a business plan today? Did you do more research on the stock? Like, it's more of like a motivational thing for me. But the way that we find our happiness is primarily based on how we were raised, right? Like again, if you come from a past of trauma, we're going to build habits and behaviors based off of that. Not even just trauma, but just like little things. Like, if you see your parents act a certain way or treat other people a certain way, like inevitably you're gonna think it's normal. Like, and there's a lot of things that I thought was normal that I, the way that I treated people in my life, just based off of the environment that I set myself in. So that kind of pulls me into my next aspect of your ego, is that we have to be very careful with who the people we surround ourselves with, because the people we surround ourselves with, they can either they can elevate us, or they can bring us down, right? So, for me, I had to choose to keep a very small circle. Like, I have a very, very small circle. I have my mentor and I have my sister, and those are like the two people that I talk to like on a very consistent basis. And then everybody kind of outside of that circle is like, they're there, but they're not like the roots to my tree. You know what I mean? And it's just so important that, like, if you want to be, let's say a goal of yours is to be an entrepreneur, or your goal is to be an artist, your goal is to get yourself out of financial debt. You have to surround yourself with those people, because your environment is just so important, right? Your mind inevitably will begin to normalize and rationalize things just based off of the things that you see and you hear. So like for me, I'll notice like, if I'm around a bunch of negative people for a long time, like I'll start to just feel like, oh, and I know it's not me. It's just because it's the environment that I'm in. So I make it very important that I distance myself from people that I don't want to be like. And if you've never been taught these things, like I wasn't taught this stuff, it's a world of a difference, but it's very difficult to kind of create a habit of. And again, this took me a very long time to do, but once I mastered it, man, like I literally feel like I can do and accomplish anything. So that confidence is like super like important to me now, and I don't let anyone or anything steer me in another direction. I'm not saying that I don't have feelings of anxiety or depression or fear or like anything. I get those thoughts still come into my head, right? But the important thing is to understand what emotion am I attaching to that thought. As soon as it comes to my head, like let's say, oh, my bills are coming up. Instead of worrying about, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, what am I going to do if I can't pay my bills? Instead, I just say, I'm going to pay my bills. It's not a problem that I should be focusing on right now. I'll deal with it when it comes, right? It's accepting that there are some things that are out of my power, and if I focus on negative things, I'm going to get more negative things in return, right? It's the laws of attraction, right? Whatever you put out, you're going to get back. So, let me kind of roll right into like your soul, right? Your soul, or what I call like my soul. These are my good thoughts. This is everything that steers me in the right direction every day. So what I believe is, again, real happiness is going to come from within. Nothing outside of you, nothing in this world outside of you is going to bring you happiness like you can bring to yourself. And the way that I think about it is that anything that's hard, difficult, or, time consuming, but it's an investment. That's what's important, right? Like, have you ever found yourself like in a situation where you're talking to someone and they're just not they're just super negative, or like they're very selfish, or you just want to scream or, you know, say some mean words, it's harder to not say those things, right? But we know, like, and if you can do that, and you do that, and you took that higher road, I guarantee you it's going to pay off in the long run, right? Because if you feed negative, you're only going to get negative in return, right? So if you want positive results, you got to feed positive, right? Like, you just want to throw positive back. Like that person that's like, oh, this person again, or, oh man, today's going to be so slow, or just kill them with kindness, man. Like, killing people with kindness, like, never steers me wrong. And when I do the opposite of that, it's like, I have no excuse. I'm like, when I reflect, I'm like, well, what did I do? Like, how did I react? Oh, I gave them more negative. Like, oh, well, there's the problem. If I had reacted differently, you know, over time, I'm not saying like instantly right away, but if you are constantly, you know, giving like love and kindness, eventually you should receive that in return. And if not, that's when you have to ask yourself, is this a career that I want to continue with? Is this relationship something that I want to, you know, continue with? Like, I'm not saying that these things are completely avoidable, right? Like your family, for example. If you have a negative family, you can't just disown them, right? But you can decide how much energy you're willing to put forth. You can decide how much you want to talk to them. You can decide, you have full control. The moment that you give your control to someone else, that is where you're going to see where your life is at, is the moment you give power to someone else, by letting them, you know, get a reaction out of you that, you know, acting out of character. So, here are like, 4 things, that I would say, shape me to stay in that constant state of like long-term happiness. First one, always first, is gratitude. I am going to be doing it, I think I'm going to do that in my next video, gratitude. But I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're jobless, you know, you're going through a divorce, whatever it is, whatever problems you have right now, I guarantee you someone has it worse. Someone will always have it worse than you. And the moment you start to express gratitude for the things that you do have and the things that you don't have, whoo, it can bring you out of some dark places. Because it sure has for me. I mean, like, I just know, like, for me, I've just been in those days where it's just like, you start off with one negative thought, you wake up mad, right? You just wake up mad for no reason. And then the whole day, it's just like, oh, another negative thing. Oh, and it's just all day, just new negative stuff that's totally non-related. Just keeps piling on. But for me, if I just, in a moment where just something bad happens, I just have to control the reaction, right? Like, man, this sucks. What's a positive out of this? Like, is there a lesson that I'm supposed to be learning right now? What can I gain from this right now? Like, there's always a way to, again, shift your perspective on a situation. So for me, gratitude. Another thing is self-exploration, right? So because I reduced my circle very, very small, that means I spent a lot of time by myself. And in that time, spending time by myself, like, I've noticed a lot of things about me. Just like, I used to hate taking pictures. Like back in, like, I would say like high school, I would hate taking pictures. Like, I just would look at myself like, oh my God, you're so ugly. And like, every single person in this entire world has some type of insecurity, right? And majority of the time, the insecurity that you constantly think about, no one else sees, right? Like, it's very minuscule, but unfortunately, we don't think of it like that. So yeah, I decided this last year to explore things, right? So this is what I discovered in this year. Like, one thing I didn't like about myself was my eyebrows. Like, I know right now they're like shaped, but like, I had these thick eyebrows, and I was like, huh, let me try and go get those shaped. And I'm telling you, it just made a world of a difference. And it just kind of snowballed it from there. You know, like a lot of times instead of like focusing on solutions, right? We think of problems all day. Like we focus on problems instead of solutions. Like for me, like as a business owner and just manager, leader, whatever, for me, if you have a problem and you're coming to me with a problem, I really expect you to have some type of solution, because at the end of the day, I don't want to focus on problems. I want to focus on solutions, right? So anytime I realize something in my life that I don't like, I assess the problem. I'm like, I wonder if I could change that. You know, another thing, I have a big forehead. I mean, again, like we all have these things, and like your ego, that negative thoughts of like your appearances, like it just weighs on you, right? So like for me, self-exploration, I spent a lot of like the last year like, how can I just improve it, right? Like improve my own natural beauty. Like, and so I started plucking my eyebrows, you know, started working out. I think in a year I lost like 25 pounds. There's a lot of things that I decided to spend more time thinking about. Like, what are some things that I did in my marriage that weren't conducive? Like, how did I mess up? Like, what did I do wrong so I don't do it again, you know? And practicing it. You know, the way that you're reacting in all of your relationships will display in other ways, right? Like for me, like the moment I meet people, like especially if I go on a date, like I'm gonna give y'all like a little teaser. I pay very close attention to how they treat like the servers, or like, you know, like you go out to eat and like like they're pouring your drinks or you're taking your order. If they're like rude or you know, they just come off as like they're better than the server, like that immediate turn off. Like I believe like in this world, like you should love everybody, but that doesn't mean that you need to be around them. Like I can love anybody and know that they make really bad decisions, right? We all make bad decisions. Some people make a lot more bad decisions than others, but learning like forgiveness, and like I'm going to get into all of this eventually, but self-exploration, learning the things that I don't like about myself that I could improve. And like the last two things are like the similar, but giving and being selfless. Like, I think that giving is like, when you give to other people, you're really giving to yourself, right? It's actually kind of selfish, like when you're helping other people, because the thing with helping other people is that in the process, you're also learning. And like, there's nothing more satisfying than like knowledge, right? Like growing as a person. And when you're giving to other people, there are so many different experiences that you can't even imagine that you can gain from being helpful and being selfless. So, you know, another big thing, I did say I like reduced my circle, like personal circle, but I scrubbed my social media accounts. Like I went through and I was like, do I talk to you? Like, do you ever reach out to me, text me? Like, are we family? Like, if the answer was no, like I just went ahead and just removed them as a friend. Like the thing with people is that we are expert manipulators, right? We will never know the true intentions of people. So like, you know, you have, in the prime example, like, I think we've all had those friends in our life that like will say nice things to our face, but like behind our back, they're like conspiring against us and like hoping that we fail, that our relationship fails, or they're just not happy for us. They're not motivating us. They're not challenging us. You know, one big thing that I look for when I have like new friends in my life is like, do they challenge how I think? Do they, do they not agree with everything that I say? Because I know, like, in my past, one of the biggest things about, like, my previous relationships was I never had anybody who was like, Journey, why did you do that? Like, that's not right. Like, that was not kind. That wasn't, like, conducive to what you're trying to achieve. And, yeah, like, it's just super important to me that people will point me out on, like, all my BS. Like, Journey, you need to get your stuff together. Like, that's not cool. That's super important to me. People who can keep me in line, and, and I'll do the same for them. But for social media, it's like, we post so much, like, intimate details about our life. And most of the time, it's probably fake. Like, we're not, the thing about social media is, like, we're only posting, like, happy stuff. Like, nobody's, like, you're not posting, like, when you get into a car accident. We're not posting, or, sometimes people do, but social media is, like, a way to, like, communicate, but not really, because me seeing a picture that someone posts, that's not really telling me how they're doing in their life. So, I really had to reduce that amount, and, like, those people that are there, I'm like, I want to actively make sure that I have a relationship with them, or that, I know that they have the best interest for me. They're not, as soon as they see my picture, like, oh, they're not jealous, or, like, just putting out negative energy against me. Like, I'm very sensitive to, like, energy, and, like, I just, now that I'm aware, I take everything into consideration now, and I'm constantly assessing, like, how I'm doing in my life. And with that, if I know exactly what I want, I'm constantly reminding myself that if I do A, then B is going to happen. So if I do A, is B what I really want? Or should I not do that? Is that going to hurt me? Is B going to hurt me? Like, if I decide to hang around a bunch of girls who do drugs, and they think it's okay because it's only, every once in a while, we do marijuana, or, we drink every weekend, but that's okay. I mean, we're all doing good in our life. No, like, to me, everything will either push you towards your goals, or they will set you back, right? So every day, like, I'm assessing, is this what I'm doing right now in this moment, is this going to progress me to where I want to be tomorrow? And I wasn't doing that, like, before. So awareness is super important, I guess. Awareness is going to help you determine, like, every decision, every reaction that you will ever make, and to find that real, just, like, overwhelming, just warm inside happiness. You have to go from within. And with that, that's pretty much all I have for y'all. So hopefully I was able to change y'all's perspective. And again, I think my next video is probably gonna be on gratitude. So yeah, I hope you guys liked my video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you guys sometime in the future. Bye.